free. Train for the in-demand caregiver workforce as a CDCP, Certified Direct Care Professional, or become a CNA, Certified Nurse Aide. All training is free. Plus, you can earn a $500 bonus. Learn more. Visit wiscaregiver.com.
Truth Nation, let us talk our ish for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like Grammy Award winner John Legend.
Knowing that fight isn't over, knowing that we've got to stay motivated and stay inspired. Glory was the song that myself and Common wrote. Two brothers from the Midwest, from Chicago and from Springfield, Ohio.
Oscar Award winning actor Don Cheadle.
I know that we're the bright, shiny thing that sometimes gets the attention, but I would say don't listen to celebrities. You don't have to listen to us. Listen to yourself.
And President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr.
When did we have a strong economy? And I don't think anyone with a straight face can say right now. And the reality, when you look at it, it's not even voting for my father. Look at the team that's now surrounding him.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk. You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's Beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, the Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace, and it's a Friday, a beautiful Friday. The sun is shining, a day before our Torilo community cleanup. Make sure you sign up and you are there. We're estimating to have over 200 people there tomorrow as we clean up across the city of Milwaukee. So come on out, and then after that, join Jim with Juice at Clicks. But I'll tell y'all about that a little bit later. Again, this is Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I'm Kyle Walsh, and we're broadcasting live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the 3rd Street Market Hall in the Avenue. Shout out to my boy DJ Brother Z holding it down on the ones and the twos. And shout out to you as always, Truth Nation, because without y'all, there is no us. So I truly do appreciate y'all and you guys always chiming in. If you do want to call in or text in, you can always hit us up at 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talk to text line. And you already know what it is. Watch and stream us live on YouTube. That is 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Go ahead and click Truth to Power. And make sure you give it a like. And also make sure you subscribe to 1017 The Truth so you do not miss any of your Truth shows. Now, today, it's Friday, and I want to make sure I bring some positivity. So I'm going to bring some information, I'm going to bring some positivity, and then I'm going to ask a question, right? I want to get our minds going because there's some information that I want us to understand so we can see kind of what's going on. And again, I always want people to be able to follow the breadcrumbs, the trail, to kind of see what is happening in front of our eyes. So that's why I think it's so imperative and so important for me to talk about things that are happening on a national scale. Now, we know last week we had an election. Last Tuesday we had an election. And with that election, on there was a question about voter ID. It passed significantly, right? People voted yes. And what that did was it allowed for the assembly here in Wisconsin, the state senate here in Wisconsin, and the governor here in Wisconsin, if they would like, they can now change the Constitution to make so voter ID law that we already have here in Wisconsin. So you have to show an ID in order to vote in Wisconsin. That is absolute law. They now can write it into the Constitution so people can't ever take that law away. But it has to be passed, by the assembly, the state senate, and signed by the governor. So we're not going to see it get into the Constitution anytime soon. But when it comes to voter ID movement, that was just the first one, right? That was just the start of the movement that people are looking to make with this. And do I see it as voter suppression? I don't see voter ID as voter suppression. I see it as a barrier that is placed up there. As we've seen so many times, there's so many different barriers that are placed. And I understand that access to getting an ID is not as always easy, especially for those, who don't have a vehicle and those who work every single day. But it's something, if you really wanted to do it, you can definitely do it. So I do see that. I do believe that the government should be doing more to provide access to voter IDs. I know we talked about it last week, how you can have mobile DMVs, you can do different things. Like they can do more to make sure everybody had a voter ID, but they're not going to do more because the goal is not to ensure that we have safe elections, ensure that we have fair elections. See, the goal is to disenfranchise people and deter people away from wanting to vote. And I didn't get a chance to talk about this. I think I mentioned it. I still think the election commissioner in Milwaukee should be fired based off what happened last week and the fact that people showed up to the voting polls and they ran out of paper ballots and then they ran out of electronic ballots as well. I think that is absolutely a disgrace, the fact that we were unprepared for this election. I don't care what the voter turnout was before. We should always be prepared. People who get in line and wait for an hour to vote should be able to vote. So, again, if I ran the city of Milwaukee, she would have been fired. She still has a job, so hopefully she'll be better next time. I understand, and growth is important. That's part of life, but it's inexcusable what happened. But getting back to my point of why I brought this up is because just yesterday as well, if you saw the news, some of y'all probably saw the news, but yesterday the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, passed something called the Safeguarding American Voter Eligibility Act, a.k.a. you probably saw something called the SAVE Act. Yes, the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act is a bill that requires all people registering to vote to provide proof of citizenship. So if you are going to vote and if you are not registered to vote, or you need to re-register to vote. Say you move, right? You move houses, right? You move from one community to another. You got to re-register to vote, right? You got to update that. That happens all the time. People, especially young people, are move a lot, right? You go from college, so you got college students that go to their university. They got to get stuff to update. When they go to a college campus, they would have to show proof of citizenship. Now, the reason why this is problematic is, again, it's not about the fact that you have to show ID. It's about what is required to register to vote. And so when we talk about requirements to register to vote, we're just talking about cumbersome burdens and barriers that are put in place that could potentially deter people away from voting. And I don't believe voting should be things like, everybody should be able to vote. No ID or whatever it is. We don't care if you're a citizen. No, there's rules and laws that people have to follow. If they don't, they have to pay time in jail. But the SAVE Act, again, will require all applicants using the federal voter registration form to provide documentary proof of citizenship in person at their local election office. So you have to be in person. You have to go to the election office. And among the acceptable documents that you have to have is a valid U.S. passport and a government issue ID card presented alongside a certified birth certificate. Now, again, these are all things that some people can get. But what we're talking about here are more obstacles for people to register to vote. Just imagine on a college campus, if you have to register to vote in a different area, or if you move to a different state, or you move to a different city, and you have to re-register to vote, you mean to tell me in order for me to vote, I have to have a passport, or which only 51% of Americans have passports, or I need to have my birth certificate and a government issue ID, and I have to go get that. I have to show that at an election to an election official, whoever, in order to vote. And again, can people do this? Yes. But there's obstacles that are in this. Our 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds who go to college at UW-Madison, who live in La Crosse or live in Milwaukee, an hour and a half away, are they going to go home, go get the proper stuff that they need in order to register or vote? I think not. Let's be honest. It is a burden. It takes time. The reason why a lot of people don't get passports, it costs money, but then also you got to get all these documents. Most people here in America, come May 7th, are not going to have the real ID, right? The new identification that's needed in order for you to fly. Why? Not because the people aren't going to fly, but because they say, well, I don't really feel like doing that. It's going to take a lot of time having to go to the DMV and do all that. And what we have to understand is that, again, this SAVE Act is not about stopping the minuscule amount of people who are non-citizens voting, because in the state of Texas, 18 million people voted, and only 1,100 people were non-citizens that attempted to vote or they found on a voter roll. Not even attempted to vote, that they found on a voter roll that they started to purge. We're non-citizens out of 18 million. We're talking about a country that has less than a couple thousand of illegal people, non-citizens, who are either registered to vote, maybe accidentally, maybe they signed some, whatever it is, out of millions and millions, out of 150 or 100-something million people that vote. We talking about in the thousands, that we want to have a law that is going to cause for many people to just not vote. If you are a woman and you get married, or if you are a person that changed their name, you may not have your birth certificate matching your actual name on your ID, so now you got to get a marriage license. And if you're like a lot of people out here, young people, just people in general, mama and daddy got the birth certificate, the original one, or you don't even know where it's at. So if you don't even know where your birth certificate is at, now to be able to vote or register to vote, you got to go spend more time to go get your birth certificate. So all I'm saying is this, is that we have to follow the breadcrumbs, that this is not about these laws they're putting in place. They're not about making sure we have safe and fair elections. America has safe and fair elections. What it is about winning elections. It's about cheating to win elections. If you do not believe what I am saying, I have a great example here. Let me just make sure. I have an example here in Louisiana. Louisiana also had a recent election. Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, who's a slime ball. I'm going to tell you this right now. Jeff Landry, unfortunately, because he's in Louisiana, far, hard, right conservative, who is putting a fist down on black people down in Louisiana, he's going to shoot up the ranks, and he may not find anything in this administration, but when he's done being the governor of Louisiana, he's going to be a name to remember, because he's going to get some type of notoriety for the harsh things that he's doing. But down in Louisiana, the governor was caught talking to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who was also from Louisiana, about hoping for low voter turnout. They're talking about hoping. Listen to this. The governor of the state of Louisiana, the Speaker of the House, somebody who is in line to be the president if tragedy was to strike our country, are smiling about the potential of low voter turnout. Make sure y'all go to 1017 The Truth so y'all can hear this video and watch this video, because this just shows you that all these laws that we see are not about making for safe elections. They are about having less people vote.
Well, we thought it would be 12, but it looked like it might be 18%.
That'd be
huge for us.
This is why voting matters and why Republicans are so eager to try to stop it. This is Governor of Louisiana Jeff Landry assuring Speaker of the House Mike Johnson that the expected voter turnout for their recent election was expected to be low, very low. Well, joke's on him because the people of the Bayou State showed up in numbers to oppose 4 resolutions to the state constitution written by Landry, nearly double the amount of people showed up for this one than they had in previous similar elections. The measures, which included making it easier to charge minors as adults, changing tax regulations that critics said would just benefit the wealthy, allow lawmakers to create their own courts and undermine the power of actual judges, and changing election dates to ensure less voter turnout, all failed. So things like the SAVE Act that requires in-person documentation for people to vote, and all of the other voter suppression tools Republicans use, like making mail-in ballots more complicated, refusing water to people who are waiting in line to vote, gerrymandering districts in their favor, are proof they know our power. It's easy to think voting, especially in small elections, doesn't matter, but if our voices didn't scare them, why are they trying to suppress them this much?
That is a great question by that woman. Is why are they trying to suppress the vote? And that's the one thing that bothers me is that when we see these different acts and these different laws, yes, it sounds good. That the law that passed last week in Wisconsin, it sounds good. Yeah, you got to show a voter ID. Yeah. But we have to understand that it's truly put in place to try to have low voter turnout, to try to get less people to vote. That is the ultimate goal of a lot of these Republicans. And it does not make sense to me why anybody would not want Americans to use their right, to use their voice to vote. That should be the thing that, yes, again, we should have fair elections, but we already have fair elections. We do. And the thing about it is that people will go different lengths to try to cheat like we see in North Carolina. Let me tell y'all about what's happening in North Carolina. See, North Carolina, just like Wisconsin, had a Supreme Court race. See, Wisconsin, though, we had our Supreme Court race in April of 2025. But in North Carolina, they had their Supreme Court race in November of 2024. And the reason I bring this up is because of the fact that the Supreme Court race that was taking place in North Carolina, it was obviously a Democrat versus a Republican. The Democrat won. But the Democrat won by a slim margin of less than 800 total votes. Less than 800 total votes. So what did the Republican do? The Republican said, I'm going to challenge some of these votes. Now, sure, challenge the votes. He decided he wanted to challenge 60,000 votes, right? He said, I want to challenge 60,000 votes. The votes that he wanted to challenge, and as we know historically, were mail-in ballots. He said, I want to challenge mail-in ballots who did not have some type of proper signature that they actually did not need to have. And then he also said, I want to challenge overseas military ballots that were mailed in, but I want to challenge them in a district that is only a blue Democratic district. You see the trickery that he's trying to play. He didn't say I want to challenge all the ballots, right? Because the right thing to do would be to challenge every ballot in the state that came from overseas military personnel. Every ballot that was a mail-in ballot. See, that would be the right thing to do, right? But see, when you are just trying to do the thing to win, you only challenge the area that voted 65% for your opponent. So again, this is the trickery that they try to do. So when people say that they want the will of the people to speak, that's baloney. It's not true. They only want the will of the people that voted for them to speak, and that is problematic, and that is an issue. And this is why when I look at the SAVE Act, and I just wanted to just inform people on this SAVE Act because it's going to be in the news. Last week I told y'all about Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. That done blew up this week. Now I'm telling y'all about the SAVE Act. That's going to be something that you're going to hear. It's not going to pass because it's not going to pass the Senate, but Wisconsin was the linchpin and the activator and the catalyst to start moving forward with more voter ID laws and more strict laws to try to keep people from voting. Not to make for safer elections, but keep people from voting. 833-212-1017. That's the Truth Talk to text line. You can also watch and stream us live on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Brandy, you're on award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for having me. I'd like to respectfully disagree with your finding. I'd say both sides of the political aisle participate in trickery, deception. It is not something that is unique to the Republicans.
In fact, if you want to talk about, misleading and hiding information or trickery, what about that MPS referendum? What about the number of folks that were duped into supporting something with a clear disregard for providing transparency?
Can I ask you a question, Brandon? I was very much against the MPS referendum. At that time, I did not have a show on air every day, and if I did, we weren't talking about that. But at that time, anytime I had an opportunity, I was very much against people voting for that because they did not have a plan. But can you tell me how the people were duped and deceived and tricked? Can you tell me how? For that one specifically. I just feel like people weren't educated.
For that one specifically, prior to that vote, there was considerable information in the hands of DPI, in the hands of the governor, in the hands of sort of stakeholders and decision makers who withheld promoting and producing that information to the public prior to that referendum in order to mislead the public into thinking that they were giving money to a solvent organization. So that was how it was misleading. A lot of the findings about MPS were out and available well before that referendum, and they were specifically withheld from being available to the public.
Brandon, I 100% agree, but I got one last question to ask you. So when we look at that, right, where people are not going to find the information versus laws that are truly put in place for voter suppression, and then also people challenging ballots only in Democratic districts, in North Carolina, that area, black areas, do you think it is the same, or do you think there's a little imbalance when it comes to these things that disproportionately impact black people?
I personally believe that MPS issue is far greater than a small election in Charlotte. I think, with 60,000 kids, 60,000 lives in their hands every year to essentially pull the wool over the community's eyes, because they were in those meetings.
Brandon,
they were asking
Brandon, can I ask you another question? I'm with you, because I'm going to talk about
sir.
MPS later today. Did you attend MPS?
Yes, sir.
As a student from MPS, and it sounds like you're successful, or on your way to being successful. Can I just ask you, as somebody who went to MPS, would you say that your success that you found, was it because of the teachers, the staff, or the household that you came from?
The household, sir.
Thank you. That sounds good. Brandon, I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for listening. You have a good one. I think you made some great points talking about both sides. I think Brandon's absolutely right. Thank you, Brandon. I think Brandon's right. I'm not going to deny that. I think both sides. And y'all know I can get on my soapbox talking about the local officials here, but I won't do that today. But I think Brandon's absolutely right. I just disagree with the fact that the election side, I think, is very important, and voting is very important, and putting more obstacles up for people to vote is a tough one for me to look past. But we're definitely going to talk about MPS on the other side, because I had a conversation about Milwaukee Public Schools that I wanted to bring to the forefront that I want to hear from you all on. But I appreciate Brandon for calling. Again, you can watch and stream us live on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Hit the like. Also subscribe. But before we go to break, the caller, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for calling.
Hey, how you doing, brother? It is, like you said, when the show started, a lovely spring day today, and it looks like next week is going to be all 60-degree days, so it looks like spring is coming. I'll be on the golf course. I would like to say that Brandon kind of repeated what Malcolm X said 15 years ago, that both of these parties have abused the black community. And both of these parties have stood while Jim Crow existed. Neither of these parties will say reparations. Done. However, one party no longer exists. See, the Republican Party of Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice no longer exists. Now you're dealing with a Confederate movement, and the only comparison to that is the Confederacy. Everything that they're doing to destroy black life, like with the Smithsonian, to destroy our history, there is no comparison to that. Now, how do we combat that? Like you said to the gentleman, his family is the reason why he has the knowledge that he has, and why he's on his way to success, as you stated. Older cousins like yourself, I'm sure when you're around your younger cousins, you encourage them to read, and maybe you have them read to you. I had a really intelligent person state yesterday when I was listening to some other content that if he was riding in his car for more than 10 minutes, and he had children with him, he always has books, and they have to read to them, so he gets a chance to hear how they enunciate and how they'll be able to speak and handle themselves in the world. And so hopefully Brandon is doing that. I'd encourage everybody else to do that, because as long as we depend on any political establishment or any school system to educate our children that is European, we will still have less success than we deserve from those children. Each one teach one. And what I suggest is people asking themselves what are the three things that they care about the most, and addressing those, which will circumvent this Confederate movement as our ancestors did, because the last three generations, Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Zs, we have withdrawn from the efforts of baby boomers in the 60s without making proper deposits. And so what I just talked about would be Brandon, me, you, everybody making those deposits that will circumvent. It's no excuse for a child not knowing how to read if you have adults in your family who can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for calling in, the caller, and providing some great information as well. 833-212-1017. That's the Truth Talk text line. I love this conversation. I really do. And again, I think we should just be mindful about all the things that are happening and how this SAVE Act is going to, again, create barriers and additional burdens for groups of people to vote. There are going to be more burdens and barriers created by people trying to vote or get registered to vote across the country versus how many illegal, or I should say non-citizens, are registered to vote. It doesn't weigh out. It truly does not weigh out. 833-212-1017. I appreciate y'all chiming in on the conversation. On the other side, I'm late for break. On the other side, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk about MPS, but we'll be back. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Start jamming in the morning and get your daily drop of juice.
Juice gets you hydrated and started for your day. And that's what we plan to do from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Every single morning, we're going to be keeping you in the mix, talking about everything you care about all before 9 a.m.
So wipe that crust out your eyes and get ready for jamming with juice.
Turning your mornings into your favorite part of the day.
Get that stank breath out of here. Brush your teeth.
It's it, bro. Like, what? Catch Jammin' with Juice
from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Milwaukee. Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's 4-on-4 day weekend, Milwaukee, and there's no other way to celebrate it other than kicking it with Jim with Juice, live at Clicks in Sherwood. This Saturday, April 12th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We're celebrating all of Milwaukee as Clicks drops the new 4-on-4 day shoe with Adidas. There will be custom sneaker art and flash tattoos, food from Toya's Kitchen, and it's all going down at Clicks in Sherwood. Don't miss the celebration, celebrating life, love, and hip-hop here in Milwaukee. It's amazing!
This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So, Black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do, but I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other Black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute. You are listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. Catch Truth to Power every weekday from noon to 1 p.m.
Truth Nation, I talked about on the other side before when we opened up the show. Our 4th annual Torrio Community Cleanup is tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., April 12th, and we want you to be there. Go to truthcommunitycleanup.com to sign up to volunteer to keep Milwaukee clean. Everyone who registers for the last cleanup site will get a free lunch provided by Cousin Subs. Got to sign up, though. Register today at truthcommunitycleanup.com. That is truthcommunitycleanup.com to beautify our city together. The Torrio Community Cleanup on this Saturday, April 12th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. tomorrow is presented by 1MKE. We are 1MKE and sponsored by Cousin Subs, U.S. Cellular, Landmark Credit Union, Ray's Coca-Cola, and Waste Management. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am Kyle Walsh, your host of Truth to Power. Make sure y'all stream and watch us live on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe as well. I appreciate all those who are listening and on the show. Now, I told y'all it's Friday. I want to be positive. And Brandon, a caller from before, and I think I recall Brandon as well, might be a very young man. Shout out to him listening, and shout out to him calling as well. But Brandon brought up MPS, and I actually want us to talk about MPS because I feel like Brandon was a great example of some of the negativity. And again, he went to MPS, but some of the negativity that MPS gets, I feel like we don't give MPS enough love for a lot of the success stories that they have. So I want y'all to tune in on 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. TMJ4 did a great article talking about the successes, the hundreds of success stories we have, but this is just one. But the many success stories we have in MPS, this is just one of them that I wanted everybody to be able to know about because I think we need to make sure we're giving love to MPS because we're giving love to those kids.
I want to tell people that it's possible.
New tonight at 10, a dream come true for a pair of seniors at Rufus King High School. Friends and classmate Brandon and Felly both recently learned that they have now been accepted to Ivy League schools. Excited
baby.
Brandon emailed TMJ4 to share the news, and he tells our Megan Lee he wants to show other young people they too can reach their goals.
From MPS to the Ivy League, 2 seniors here at Rufus King High School are taking the next step in their education journey at a pair of very prestigious schools.
I'm going to UPenn.
I'm going to Yale University for Film and Media Studies and minoring in English.
Brandon Patterson and Felly Brown have been friends since their first few days at Rufus King.
Freshman year, did you think you both would be going to an Ivy League school?
Absolutely.
I thought Felly was. I didn't know if I was.
And now they're embarking on this exciting and incredible journey in the same boat.
Experiencing this joy with my friend, like I feel like it's a really great thing. And I feel like it's really an inspiration to Milwaukee, inspiration to our school.
And that's why Brandon sent TMJ4 an email.
I feel like I want to share my story to let people know that like at King, you can really find yourself and you can really you can achieve anything.
He found out just weeks ago that he's headed to Philly in the fall to study cognitive science.
I was opening up my UPenn letter and I didn't even think it was a possibility that I could get in. But I opened it up and it just said congratulations. And I feel like this is honestly like one of my happiest moments in my life.
Felly had a similar experience.
Like I read the letter and I was like, oh my gosh, like he's going to Yale. It felt really surreal, like definitely like my jaw dropped.
According to a national report, the average acceptance rate for an Ivy League school is about 5.7%, compared to about 57% for other national universities. Both Felly and Brandon owe a lot of their success to their high school.
I think Rufus King is like the best school in the world.
It's the uplifting teachers and supportive classmates that mean the most.
Everybody is just like they're constantly trying to motivate you. They're constantly trying to have you just become the best person you want to be.
Both Brandon and Felly have one last message for the students of MPS.
I kind of want to tell people that it's possible.
And the two of them chasing their dreams is proof of that. In Milwaukee, Megan Lee, TMJ4 News.
I love to hear that story because it's so important that we see this. Because so often right now in the world that we live in, where African Americans are being told that everything that we have gotten, we did not earn, we did not work hard for. There are people right now who may be listening to this show, hi haters, But people who may see this when they watch TMJ4, and they may have saw the story and said, oh, those kids didn't earn it. They got in because they black. No, those kids earned their spot. And that's why it's so important when we talk about Milwaukee Public Schools. Yes, they have some negatives about them, but there's so many more beautiful stories like this one. I work with MPS graduates. I work with DJ Brother Z. I work with Carrie Noni. I work with Tori Lowe. I work with so many people. We got people upstairs, white people, black people, who went to MPS as well. There are so many success stories, and I feel MPS gets such a bad rap, but yeah, they have a work in progress, but boy, they have a lot of beautiful stories. So I felt like it was important for us to talk about this beautiful story, but also on the other side, what I want to talk about, oh, what's up? The NASA's is coming in the building. Maybe I'll get them to come on the show. But on the other side, I want to talk about the fact that when we point the finger at MPS, we need to figure out why those three fingers are pointing at us and ask ourselves, what are we doing to improve MPS, and who's really the problem? This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Maybe I'll have the NASA's under the Kumbo on the other side. Maybe not. We'll see. I'll go out there and talk to him. But other than that, y'all, we will definitely have a great conversation coming up. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace right here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Ever had a question about local services, neighborhood events, civic engagement, or ways to get more involved in the community and just didn't know who to ask? That's where 1MKE comes in. 1MKE is a nonpartisan coalition helping Milwaukee residents to find trusted information and easy opportunities to get civically engaged. Want to plug into a neighborhood event, find community services, give back through volunteering? 1MKE is here to help. Learn more and get involved at 1mke.org. That is 1mke.org. We are 1MKE.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD, and many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we can help. Sometimes in class, the only thing your child can focus on are the thoughts racing through their head.
Why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone? So different.
Your child is looking to you for answers. But as a parent, you probably have a lot of questions too. What should I do next? Where do I even start? At understood.org, we provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do. Visit understood.org/the reason to get started.
Day 1, diagnosis day, the hardest day, the day you hear,
I'm sorry, this is a type of blood cancer.
But day 1 is just one day. At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day 1.
On day 45, I discovered an online community who shared great tips for in-treatment care.
I missed a lot of school during treatment, and LLS helped me keep up.
We are here for you. We exist for everyone fighting leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, and other types of blood cancer.
On day 185, LLS helped me file my insurance claims properly.
Day 5,840 and counting, and I'm still in remission.
To learn more and get help on day 1, day 2, day 983, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572. That's LLS.org, 1-800-955-4572.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snime. The Milwaukee Brewers dropping a tough one on Thursday afternoon in Game 3 out there in Colorado. They lose to the Rockies by a final score of 7-2. The loss dropping the Brewers to an overall record of 7-6 on their season. They'll face Arizona tonight to begin a 3-game series. That first pitch all set for 8:40. Next up, we'll head to the NBA where the Milwaukee Bucks get win number 6 in a row, 136-111 over the New Orleans Pelicans. The win improving the Bucks to an overall record of 46-34. They entered the day number 5 in the Eastern Conference playoff race. Head coach Doc Rivers after the game on heading into the playoffs.
I'm looking forward to it. I think the crowd in Detroit's going to be amazing. They're going to play hard. They're going to play well, and we're going to have to match it. I can't pick up a better scenario going into the playoffs.
The Bucks and Pistons tonight from Detroit. That tip-off is set for 6 p.m. The Sports Update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
It is Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
Idol, man, they want to be just like you. You training, they don't go.
One call, that's all with Gruber Law Office. If you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, don't hesitate. Make the one call, that's all, to Gruber Law Office. They will take care of you. I remember I got into a car accident. I was cool at first, and a couple days later, my back started hurting. I contacted my insurance company, and they absolutely ghosted me. I made one call, that's all, to Gruber, and they took great care of me. I didn't have to worry about anything. I had to go get x-rays. I actually had to go to physical therapy. I also had to go get an MRI for them to look at my back to make sure to see what was going on. They took great care of me, and I want them to do that too. I understand how traumatic it can be getting in a car accident, but having a law firm like Gruber Law Office that will fight for you and stand up for you, takes the burden off your shoulders, is so important. But most importantly, they make sure you get every single penny that you deserve. So call them today, because remember, there's no fee, there's no cost whatsoever until they win your case. Visit them at gruber-law.com. That is gruber-law.com, or call them at 414-276-6666. It's one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I'm Kyle Walsh, the host of Truth to Power. On the other side, we're talking about Milwaukee Public Schools, and I shared a story about 2 students from MPS. And I think we shared one before, how there was 4 young girls from MPS who all were, I believe they got full ride scholarships, or all got accepted. I shouldn't say full ride, but I know for sure they got accepted into Spelman College down there in Georgia. And now we just heard about 2 students, just 2, who were friends at Rufus King. Not all the students, there's just 2. There's probably some other Ivy League students in that building who are going on to go to Yale and Penn, right? So I feel like there's a lot of bright spots in MPS, but too often we focus on the negativity. And when I think about the fact that we focus on the negativity, I don't think we give MPS enough credit for having to deal with a population, a demographic of students that are downtrodden and students that come from a distressed household. I don't feel like we give them enough credit because of the fact that, yes, MPS needs to continue to improve as a district, but there's other things that MPS has to deal with that other districts do not have to deal with. There's so many barriers that they have to deal with, right? And so when I think about, kids, and when I worked at MPS, some of the essentials in life, like having clean clothes, these kids don't have that sometimes. Coming to school and actually having a breakfast or a meal, these kids don't have that sometimes. Leaving the house and getting a kiss and a hug and saying, have a great day at school from their parents, some of their kids don't get that because parents, mom and dad, are working hard to try to make sure that they have everything they have at the house. But when they work so hard, some of the things that children need, such as love and attention, get pushed to the wayside, and that negatively impacts the kids. And so when we talk about the failures and the struggle of MPS, do understand is that MPS is dealing with more than just behavioral issues from the kids. They're dealing with these kids that have these issues because of the household. And so I just believe it's so unfair that we put so much attention on the failures of MPS, but we don't put more attention on the fact that it's truly, to me, the failure of the parent in the household. I was talking to somebody who went to MPS. I just wanted to get a glimpse. He came from a one-parent household. He said his mom worked 3 jobs. And I asked him, I said, so what made you find the success you did? What made you go on to UW-Madison? He said, listen, when I looked at my neighborhood, I saw people that I did not want to be. He said, I wanted to play sports, and I knew I had to have a GPA to be able to play sports, so I had to keep my GPA up. And at that point, I just built it up. He said it was inside of me where I wanted to be successful. And then he said, when you look at the classrooms in MPS, and I agree with this, that 35 to 1 student to teacher, student to faculty ratio in some of these classrooms is too high. Especially when you're dealing with, out of those 35 students, some of them students got trauma that they dealing with. That you're trying to get them to focus in the classroom, they got stuff going on at home. MPS has to deal with this. I know I talk about it. I went to the suburbs for school, 220 kid. I understand that. And the trauma that them kids had versus even some of the trauma that we the black kids had versus the trauma that some students at MPS had were night and day. Were completely night and day. Some of them kids could walk to school in high school. MPS will take you from 60th and Capitol and put you at Hamilton because that's the school that your household decided they wanted to go to because you didn't have somebody in the household that said, wait a minute, maybe we want you to go to, try to get into King, or maybe we want you to try to get into, James Madison or right up the street at Marshall High School. And so I understand that MPS definitely plays a role in the success of our students, but I feel like we put too much of the burden on MPS to educate students that come from these broken homes, that come from these homes that they're not supported. And so overall, when we talk about this as a community, we got to come up with a plan. Because when I think about the plan that other communities have, they find success. When you talk about rural areas, or rural areas have a plan for success, what they tell their kids, they say, listen, rural and exurbs, they say, some of y'all gonna go to college. Some of y'all gonna go to the factory. Some of y'all gonna go to the farm. Some of y'all gonna go to the small family business. And some of y'all gonna go to the 2-year school. And as always, some of y'all gonna be criminals. But the thing is that they have a plan for the most part for where these kids are going. When they graduate, they don't just graduate and go to the streets. They graduate and they go to a career path. They don't just say, oh, well, okay, well, woohoo, you graduate, you're done. No. Because in the households, and Tory Lowe has talked about it, because he's been in different areas, is that these rural areas and these exurbs have a plan for their students. It ain't always you got to go to college. It's you got to get a job here, go to the factory there, go get the 2-year degree here, go run a family business here, go work on the farm. They have a plan. You go to the suburbs, they got a plan. Most of these suburban schools, especially the ones on the North Shore, the northern suburbs of Milwaukee, most of those schools, those students have a plan. You go to Nicolay, you go to Brown Deer, you go to Homestead, you go to Shorewood. A lot of those schools have a plan of these kids are about to either go to 4-year college, some may go to the military. But again, they have a plan not to just be sitting on the streets. It's looked down upon in those communities. What are you doing staying at home? It's weird for you to stay in the same place. Why are you still here? That is the way they looked at. But for some reason in our community, when it comes to talking about what's next, our kids are either in college, we have some career options, but for some reason the streets are an option. And I do not believe that is not MPS's fault. They can try to do better. They have their college and career centers. They have the success stories. But this is a household issue. So I just want people to understand that we got to start shifting our mindset from pointing the finger at Milwaukee Public Schools that's doing a decent job. There's improvement. Don't get it twisted. They need to improve. But look at the demographic that they're working with. There is no other district in the state of Wisconsin that deals with as many students that are dealing with despair. To say that these teachers don't care about these students is wrong. To say that the principals don't care about these students is wrong. To say that the district leaders don't care about these students is wrong. I said it. Brenda Caselius, the new superintendent, I don't think she was the right fit for the job, but I did say she cared about these kids. You know she cared about these kids. And at a certain point, we're going to have to shift this narrative and this conversation from MPS is failing the kids. No, the household is failing the kids. The parents are failing the kids. That's who's failing the kids. It's not MPS. We got to stop pointing the finger at them. I'll keep saying it. They need to improve. But in order for MPS to be successful, it is on we as a community, but more important, you as a parent. 833-212-1017. Is MPS really to blame for the lack of growth we have seen in Milwaukee? If MPS to blame for the students who aren't excelling, 833-212-1017. Marlon, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
Good morning. I don't think MPS is to blame. I think everything starts at home. Okay, I have 4 sons, 3 of my own and 1 that was not biologically mine. All of them went to college, but that was because me and their mother set a plan in place their whole life. Even a kid who was not biologically mine, he didn't come to my house until he was in high school. Had no clue, had no even thought about college, had no even inkling about it. But we set the standard because we had the standards for our sons, so the standard was for him too. So then he understood, and so he worked through it. The schools can only do so much. You know what I mean? If they see your kid is excelling, they will put him in special classes that help him excel. If he needs help, they'll do things that can help. But the school isn't all to blame here. It's us as parents. It's us as a community. And if you can set expectations for your kids, and they're going to meet those expectations, but you have to have expectations. And some of it is because the parents haven't went to college. Some of the, family members having to go to college. And that's not right or wrong. You just have to be willing to ask for help.
I 100% agree. You have to be willing to ask for help. Thank you so much, Marlon. You made some great points. 833-212-1017. One last caller here. Kimberly, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
How you doing, Kyle?
I feel blessed. Thank you for asking, ma'am.
Thank you. I agree with the last caller and you as well. It's the parents. You can't blame the school. I went to Vincent High School, graduated, got my bachelor's and my master's degree. My daughter went to Rufus King. Yes, and my daughter is a general. She went to Rufus King, and when she graduated, she went to Chicago State, and she has 2 master's degrees. So it was not in my grandparents' house. It was no not going to school. You was going to school, and you was gonna make a plan. It's the parents. They're lazy, and they do not care about their kids. They too busy in the clubs and kicking it with their kids, and that's the problem.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Kimberly, for calling in. I think these callers, the thing I love is that they shared their personal experience. Their personal experience either as a parent or somebody who brought a kid into their house and they in high school and said, this is the standard in this household. Kimberly just talked about the standard that was set by her grandparents, that was put into her, that she then put onto her daughter. My mama got a master's degree, so what did I do? I got a master's degree. That was something that was put into my mind that we try to achieve at a higher level. But it starts inside the household. We have to have better examples inside the household. Let's stop blaming teachers. 833-212-1017. That's the Truth Talk to text line. Also, you can watch and stream us live on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. I'll wrap up the show and share my final thoughts on the other side. But this is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace, always on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. 1017 The Truth and Associated Bank have teamed up for our Black-owned business give back. Each quarter, 4 lucky businesses will win an opportunity for a monthly spotlight interview. Yes, you will win 3 interviews on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. To sign up for your business's chance to be highlighted on The Truth for 3 months, visit blackbusinessgiveback.com. That is blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank member FDIC.
Hey, Truth Nation, it's your girl DT from The Truth Unfiltered with DT and Dr. Ken Harris. Now listen, at a critical time, through the Empowerment Small Business Loan Program, Old National Bank provided the resources I needed to sustain my business. Now the process had its challenges, but I was supported, and it was also an invaluable learning experience for future ventures. I am so grateful for the support that helped my business thrive. Old National Bank, member FDIC, Equal housing lender, all loans subject to approval.
It's 414-Day Weekend, Milwaukee, and we're going big. Come hang with Jammin' with Juice live at Clicks in Shorewood this Saturday, April 12th from 1 to 3 p.m. We're celebrating the city at Clicks as they drop their latest 414-Day shoe with Adidas. They'll have custom sneaker art by Alexander John, flash tattoos by MGN Studios, and food from Toya's Kitchen. It's all going down at 1916 East Capitol Drive in Shorewood. Don't miss the vibes, the art, the food, and all things Milwaukee.
Join the City of Milwaukee for a chance to connect your business to potential contracting opportunities with the city and county government at the upcoming City of Milwaukee Vendor Fair. This event is a gateway to expand your business through workshops, networking, and access to staff regarding city contracting opportunities. The event takes place from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th at BMO Tower, 790 North Water Street, floors 2 and 11. Again, that's the City of Milwaukee Vendor Fair on Thursday, April 24th from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the BMO Tower in downtown Milwaukee. Come learn about the city's bid submittal process, small business certification, and contracting opportunities. Parking validation is available for this event at the BMO Tower. You don't want to miss this one. Save the date for April 24th at BMO. Sponsored by the City of Milwaukee Department of Administration, City of Milwaukee Purchasing Department, and the City of Milwaukee Department of City Development. For more information, you can visit milwaukee.gov/DOA events.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Gruber Law Offices, a proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
1, 2, 3, ho!
April is Financial Literacy Month, and The Truth has you covered on learning about how you can best manage your finances all April on Jammin' with Juice with Ben Jammin and Carrie Noni. They will speak with Nina Johnson, Senior Vice President and Wisconsin Branch Banking Market Leader from U.S. Bank. They will discuss financial strategies and tools they offer their customers to help enhance your financial management skills. Financial Literacy Month on the award-winning 1017 The Truth is sponsored by U.S. Bank. Visit your local U.S. Bank branch today. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I want to thank everybody so much for joining us here today to have this enlightening conversation, but I just want to share with the final thoughts that I have about education and who's responsible. Is that you cannot tell me that a resilient people such as we black people cannot be great. We are trendsetters. We are creative. We're presidents. We are purely greatness. So when we talk about some of the struggles we have with Milwaukee Public Schools, yeah, they need to be better, but more importantly, it starts in the household. We heard people talk about that they were pushed inside of their household to be great. We need to start holding more people accountable to be pushed to be great. We need to be letting parents know that it's your responsibility to make sure your kid reaches their full potential. There is completely too much greatness in each and every last one of us to be wasted on running the streets, to be wasted on getting in trouble, to be wasted on riding our brain, to be wasted on not being uplifted inside of the household. And the last thing is, stop yelling at y'all kids the way y'all do. I cringe every time I see somebody cuss at a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. And I don't care who do it, but for us, stop doing that. Stop doing that. We shouldn't treat our kids like that. Let's continue to uplift our kids and allow them to be great. But this has been Truth to Power with Kyle Walsh on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Thank y'all so much for joining me the entire week. The Tori Lowe Show is up next. Peace out. Have a beautiful weekend. See y'all at the cleanup. Y'all stay safe. Peace.
April is Financial Literacy Month, and The Truth has you covered on learning how you can best manage your finances. All April on Jammin' with Juice, Ben Jammin and Carrie Noni will speak with Nina Johnson, Senior Vice President and Wisconsin Branch Banking Market Leader from U.S. Bank. They will discuss financial strategies and tools they offer their customers to help enhance your financial management skills. Financial Literacy Month on the award-winning 1017 The Truth is sponsored by U.S. Bank.
Brewer
Brewers baseball is the sound of summer in Milwaukee. And now you can catch the Brewers on local TV for select Tuesday night games.
Curio sends it deep to left, and there she
It's
goes.
Brew Crew Tuesdays.